name's Cathy. Welcome to Lunar Bird Book Club. Okay, this might be a bad idea to film whilst walking, but we're gonna do it anyway. So hello, welcome to my reading journal for July. Today is the 3rd of July, election day tomorrow. That's exciting. It is not a great sunny day today. It is quite cloudy and overcast, but then I thought, well, that makes it a perfect walking day. So I've come out to the hills and I wanted to jump on quickly because I have 3 read books that I have not yet told you about, because I finished 2 right at the end of June and forgot to put them in the June reading journal, and then 1 I finished last night. So those 3 books are: 1, I finished the Silmarillion at last. That was hard work. I keep checking to make sure I am alone. So that's the Silmarillion done. It was hard work. I am glad I've read it. I will never read it again. I did find it quite confusing with place names and character names and people names. I got very easily mixed up and lost. But you know, I've done it. I feel like I understand Tolkien a little bit more now, especially the elves. I feel like I have a stronger understanding of who the elves are and what they're about, and a bit more about their conflicted feelings about Middle-earth. So yes, Silmarillion has been a long-held reading ambition, and it's done, and I don't need to read it again. The second book that I finished was The Borrowers, which I started in June and I finished just at the end of June. That was a beautiful children's book. I understand now why that is a classic, and if you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. It's short and sweet, but it's got a lot of adult themes running underneath it, and as Rachel mentioned in our Best of British vlog, you kind of see how this is a post-war book and about communities trying to survive after being through some quite hard times. And then the third book that I finished is a Fables comic that I read last night, because Rachel and I are going to film a Fables vlog this Saturday. So that was Fables, I think volume 2, Animal Farm. I think it's been about 8 years since I last read that, so that was a lot of fun. I read it through in one night. I really enjoyed it, and because I've only recently just finished the Fables series, it's really nice to go back to the beginning and remind myself of where these characters started out. So there we go, 3rd of July, those are the books I've read, and now I'm going to go on a little walk on this cloudy, overcast day, and that's Pendle Hill in the background. Isn't she beautiful? Seeing as I've been talking about Tolkien, I feel like I should point out that this is a very good tree. Absolutely gorgeous. I can hear a bird of prey. I don't know if it'll come up on the camera, but I can hear it. Where is it? Something near. By the way, my friend sent me a thing on Instagram about how that there are ranger walkers and hobbit walkers, and like ranger walkers will like go for miles, like actually properly hike, maybe camp out, take a big rucksack, clock up for miles, and hobbit walkers wander a bit, stop to look at a tree, wander a bit more, dip their toes into a stream, wander a bit more, and then like go to a pub and have lunch. I am definitely a hobbit walker. And oh, I've seen the bird, hang on. There it is, that black dot. I don't know what it is, but it's a bird of prey. I knew I could hear one. I was saying, yeah, I've told my smartwatch, you can just about see behind the sleeve, that I'm going for a walk. And it must be very confused because I keep walking and then stopping to look at things. So it'll be a long walk in terms of time, but a short walk in terms of distance. Because I'm a hobbit walker and this is how I walk. Hello, it is Wednesday the 10th of July and today I'm having a little relax and recharge day because I'm starting a new job on Monday, which I'm excited about, a little bit nervous about, and I'm still finishing off uni work, so it's been busy, but I thought, you know what, I want to have just like a little rest day in between everything else, so I'm taking this day to myself. Ola's at school, Rob's at work, and I'm just gonna like do fun little bits at home, be really chilled and relaxed. So for me, the first thing that means is I'm gonna bake a new recipe, and today I am gonna try and make bread. I've never baked bread before, so I'm just gonna try and do a really simple white loaf, and we'll see how we go. I've planned to make a bean stew later on this evening, so we can have that and bread. And once this is kind of underway, I'm just gonna read and kind of chill out today. I thought whilst I'm getting this ready, I can update you on books. I feel like a teaspoon of salt is actually quite a lot of salt. Okay, I am mixing with one hand, and I'm going to show you what I've been reading with this hand. So I have recently read Fables Legends in Exile. This is Fables Volume 1. Rachel is currently reading the series for the first time, and we're filming videos of her reactions to the series. So actually we just filmed last weekend Rachel's reactions to volumes 2 and 3. That'll be on the channel by the time you're watching this. And I reread volumes 2 and 3 to remind myself of what happened, and it just made me want to also revisit and reread the first volume, so I've done that. I really love this series. It's just so much fun and it's so detailed, and now that I've read it all, going back to the beginning, I'm already spotting clues of what happens in future volumes. So this was so much fun. If you haven't come across the Fables series before, it's a comic series about fairy tale characters living in a secret community in New York because they have been forced out of their fairy tale world by a mysterious adversary. It's so much good fun. The central characters are pretty much Bigby Wolf, who is the big bad wolf and now a detective, and Snow White, who is the deputy mayor who kind of runs Fabletown. Then I have 2 books on the go, one print one and one audio one. So the print book I am reading is Oathbringer Part 2 from the Stormlight archive. I absolutely adored Part 1 and I like absolutely raced through it. But for some reason, maybe because I took a break in between, I'm finding that I've not had the same feeling about Oathbringer Part 2. Maybe I just need to get more into it. But again, it just feels like the pace has slowed down. I'm so hit and miss with the Stormlight archive so far. I loved Way of Kings, could not get enough of it. Words of Radiance like started well but kind of fizzled out for me. Oathbringer Part 1 I've adored. Oathbringer Part 2, I just don't seem to be that invested in what's going on at the moment. I don't know why. Maybe it was just taking a break partway through the book. I don't know. I have a feeling it's a me issue rather than the book issue. But maybe today, devoting some time for reading, I will get over that and get into this book. Then the audiobook I'm listening to is Miss Beaton's Beetle. This is a story of a middle-aged woman, Miss Beaton, in the 1950s, deciding that she wants to embark on a lifelong ambition that she's never done anything about before, to go on an expedition to Cambodia to find the fabled gold beetle. And she decides to hire an assistant, and the assistant she hires is a Miss Enid Pretty, who is completely unqualified for the job and gets on Miss Beaton's nerves, but seems to have some secrets going on of her own, and they're being followed by a strange stalker dude. It's so far very fun and endearing and witty and just quite a beautiful book so far. So I'm really enjoying listening to that. I used to listen to all my audiobooks on Audible, but to try and save a bit of money, I've swapped to BorrowBox, a library app, to have a go at listening to audiobooks on there. And so far it's going really well.
I think the only thing that freaks me out is that because you're borrowing them, you get a limited time. And Rachel assures me, like, when my time runs out, I can just reserve it again, or I can ask to reserve it. I don't know if I can do that right now, ask for an extension, because like I've got 6 days left on this audiobook and I've got 9 hours left of it, and I'm not gonna listen to 9 hours of the book within the next 6 days, I don't think. So I'm you know, getting to grips with this new way of listening to audiobooks, and I'm enjoying it, and I'm enjoying the story. It's not like anything else I've read for quite a long time, and I quite like this. There's, you know, an adventure, it's a female-driven story, it's quite poignant. It kind of talks a lot about how British people felt after World War II and how like their lives had changed so much because of that World War. So like rationing is still a thing, there's still a generation of men pretty much missing, and women like Miss Beaton, you know, she never fell into the motherhood wife role, so she's kind of forging a new way ahead for herself. You know, she's a grumpy, reserved character to follow, a bit, you know, socially awkward, a bit stuck, lost in her own head, and I find her quite endearing in the book. I'm sure in real life I would be a bit scared of her. I will let you know how my bread turns out. Right now I'm stirring butter into milk and it's not really combining very well. My dough has been proving for 2 hours and it looks quite massive. It's 45 minutes later. I am preheating the oven and this has doubled in size. So I think all that's left to do is actually bake it. Also, I have just been for a row on the row machine, so my face is a lovely shade of pink. I don't know why my body thinks every time I exercise, like, she's exercising, get the blood to her cheeks definitely need the extra blood right now. I don't know why my body does that, but it does every time. So if you ever see me with a bright pink face, it means I've just exercised. So yeah, I've done some exercise today, I've got my bread ready for baking, and I've read a few chapters of Oathbringer. I am enjoying it more, I'm getting back into the swing of it now. And I've also, whilst I've been baking and doing stuff, been listening to Miss Benson's Beetle, and I'm still really enjoying that. So this has been a very good reading day so far. So this is the bread I made. It actually turned out really well, and I was super pleased with it. And later on I'd made my stew and I had it with the bread and butter and it was just delicious. The only bad thing that happened right now is that when I was filming this final shot of the bread, I accidentally put the camera into filming in slow motion, and then every other video I filmed for like the next 2 weeks was filmed in slow motion, but I didn't realise it. So that has caused some havoc in vlogs that are yet to come. So just a little heads up about that. But the bread was good. I'm glad I made it. I'm just sad that I accidentally filmed it in slow motion. Okay, hello. It is now the end of the month. And for reasons that will become clear in a vlog that's coming out in a couple of weeks' time, I actually didn't start any other books apart from the 2 I've already talked about in this vlog, but I did finish those 2 books. So I finished Miss Benson's Beetle. I realised now watching some old footage back that I kept calling it Miss Beaton's Beetle. That's not what the book is called, it's Miss Benson's Beetle. That was a brilliant book. I really enjoyed it. It's a bit unlike a lot of other stories out there, but a beautiful tale of adventure. Really satisfying. I will say, see, like, I don't want to spoil it. There is one thing that happened right towards the end of the novel that I didn't like. It made me sad. And I feel like it was a little bit unnecessary. So I'm going to have my own personal headcanon for this book. And in my headcanon, that one thing doesn't happen. And it doesn't really change the overall ending. So yeah, I'm just, my only heads up is that at the end, there's one thing in the ending that frustrated me. But everything else in the ending was just beautiful and wonderful. And yeah, I highly recommend that book if you ever come across it. Miss Benson's Beetle, worth it. Then the second book that I finished was Oathbringer Part 2. Rachel and I have filmed an in-depth vlog about that. That will be coming out, I think, next week. So you're going to hear all about Oathbringer very soon. But
again, I really enjoyed reading that. There are parts of the Stormlight archive that have dragged for me as I've been reading it, just parts. But then whenever I finish the book, I feel a bit bereft. Like, I really do enjoy just being in that world and meeting those characters, and the more that is revealed about this world and its cultures and its peoples, the more some of the mysteries are like making sense, or why some of the details it just feels like there's a reason for everything in this story. So even where at times I've complained about it dragging a bit, actually it's just such a fun experience to go into that world and be with these characters and experience this adventure, and I've really enjoyed the series, and I'm looking forward to reading the next book. Oh, and maybe I should also give you a couple of bits of life updates. I have been in my new job for 3 weeks and I've really enjoyed it. That's partly why I haven't read as much. I've had less time for reading because I'm working. But yeah, I've really enjoyed my new job. I've met some lovely people. People have been very kind to me as I've got settled in, and that's been wonderful. And then the other big life update is that I have finished all the work for my masters. So it's all submitted, it's all in, complete, finished, no more homework, and that's felt really good too. So July has been quite a nice month. It's been a month of change. I've read like 3 comics, I've read a good fantasy novel, I've listened to a fantastic audiobook, started a new job, the sun's been out. It's been a pretty good month and I've enjoyed it, and I hope you've enjoyed this reading vlog. Rachel's vlog is also out this weekend, so keep an eye out for that. We release new videos every Friday, so we'll see you next week. Bye. Which we just released a video about this week, or this week when I'm filming this. Oh gosh, I can't talk today.